Hey guys, today I want to talk a little bit about a issue that I feel like it's been popping up a lot in the last few weeks, months, even years, and that's, do snakes make good pets? And the answer to that is yes, asterisk. They make as good of pets as really any other animal that we keep as a pet. With me today is just our little Thayer's female. Her cage is a little dirty, so I pulled her out and I said, hey, why not take the opportunity since she's being cooperative and we'll see what she wants to do. So, the reason why I say yes, kind of asterisk, is that keeping a snake or reptile or really any type of animal requires a lot of forethought, research, and responsibility. The thing is that I think what happens a lot with snakes and stuff like that is that people as a whole seem to not think as or have as much forethought about keeping an animal like this, like a snake, like this, or a ball python, or even a large reticulated python or Burmese python or iguana or something like that, as they would a cat or a dog. And by that I mean, I think a lot of it has to do a little bit with the cost too. A lot of people, when they very first get snakes, they're very inexpensive, even for larger reptiles. So a small king snake, corn snake, ball python, usually the first ones they get, they're under $80. You can even get, water monitors and regular Burmese pythons and stuff like that for under $200. So compare that to the price of, some dog breeds out there. That is a significantly smaller thing. And I think a lot of times what happens is that they consider them almost disposable, but which is a horrible thing to think about. But they're living, breathing animals that we're going to take into our care just like we would a cat or a dog, and that's something that needs to be that needs to be thought about before you decide to get one. And when you do decide to get one, once you've done the research where you know what it takes to responsibly care for these things, like you would a cat or a dog or a hamster or a horse, if that's something that you have the ability to do, then there's nothing wrong with keeping these guys. They can make amazing pets. That being said, there are some species of snakes that probably don't make the best pets for a lot of people. Just like there's probably a lot of other breeds of animals that don't make good pets for a lot of people. So, a large dog, something that can very easily overpower you, something that is naturally a little bit more territorial and protective, isn't necessarily the best idea for a person who's never had a dog before, comes in close contact with a lot of other people and dogs, and doesn't take the time to sit there and socialize them. Same thing with, a large reticulated python or, all the Burmese pythons and stuff like that. It's really easy to get a baby snake when, Burmese python, when they're still a few months old, they're only about this long, maybe a little bit more thick, but, they're very small. You don't think too much about it, but then in the first year, they can get over 6 feet long. And that's something that for a lot of people, even reptile people, that's not something that they can really take responsibly. And so, that's something that needs to be talked about, just like with anything else. We can talk a little bit about, I brought it up before, or so that people kind of think of them as somewhat disposable pets. And I think that's very much the case that we can see with a lot of the releases that we see reported all the time. And I'm not talking just about, the Burmese pythons down in the Everglades. I will never take away from the fact that that is a big issue. They shouldn't be there. But there are also a lot of other animals there that have been released that cause as much or more detriment to the environment as them. Wild boar, these lionfish that have been introduced, even domestic cats. Domestic cats cause more harm and death of native species than any other animal, with the exception of human beings, on the planet. And that's something that we don't like to talk about. We can't ban cats because they're cute and fluffy, but everyone tries to ban snakes and reptiles and things like that. Once again, not saying that taking away from anything that it is an issue. It absolutely is a problem with a lot of invasive and non-native species in habitats and environments. And that's something that, because of, there is the Hurricane Andrew issue and things out of people's control, but I think it's a thing where people just don't consider them like it's something that I want to keep forever. It's a disposable animal. A ball python, they stop taking care of it. A corn snake, they don't really consider it a thing. Even goldfish that grow a little large, they just throw them in ponds. And that's not okay. It doesn't matter what type of animal it is. It's something that you should take on responsibly. That's something that you need to, think about, have the forethought and do research about them. I know a lot of people have the, unfortunately, the connotation of the only snake the only good snake is a dead snake, and that's Imagine saying that to someone who keeps these things. I know a lot of you guys out there who have had reptiles and snakes and stuff like that. Someone has said something like that to you. Can you imagine if you said that to someone about like their cat or dog? You know, that's horrible. Why would you ever say that to them, and why would anyone think that's okay to say to you? You know, these are amazing animals and amazing pets that we can have, and you know, just a little bit of forethought when it comes to not only keeping them, but everything else won that too. I mean, I don't understand why people have such a horrible problem with these guys when every other animal that we keep is just as bad, if not worse. I mean, a lot of people talk about, you know, the large constrictor snakes attacking and killing people, and I'm not going to say that that's not something that doesn't happen or that these animals aren't potentially dangerous, but more people are, you know, killed in fatal dog attacks every year than have ever been killed by a large constrictor snake. More people have received medically significant cat scratches and bites that require, you know, medical professional care than have ever been harmed by a snake like this, you know, excluding, you know, wild venomous reptiles and things like that in very heavy populated areas like Africa and India and things like that. But from captive animals, more people are harmed by cats and dogs than any reptile species that has ever been. And that's just something that, you know, a lot of people don't like to think about just because they're a little bit different. And so I'm sorry I got a little bit of ranty and a little bit preachy with this there at the end, but the main reason why I keep bringing this stuff up is that it's not really great to say that one animal is a better pet than another when we have so many biases or things like that with other animals to begin with. So if you think a snake is going to be a good pet for you, which it certainly can be, these guys are great pets. One of the biggest selling points for like a pet snake that I tell people is if you only feed it once a week, it only poops once a week. That makes it a lot easier to deal with. Like if I sat there and had business card made, I'm executive poop cleaner of Jay's Reptiles. But I have quite a few animals, just like what would happen if you had a lot of dogs. You're going to be cleaning poop a lot. If you have a lot of cats, you're going to be cleaning poop a lot. At least if you're doing that responsibly and things like that. So the biggest thing I want to take away is, do snakes make good pets? They absolutely make wonderful, amazing pets. Just do your research, just like you would with any other animal. You want a cat, then you have to know, like, okay, what type of breed of cat? What am I getting into? They need a litter box. They need food. They need water. They need places to scratch. Otherwise, they're going to tear up the furniture. They need socialization. They need stuff to stimulate, just like you would with these guys. They need a habitat. They need shelter. They need water. They need food. They need stuff to interact with throughout their day. We're going through process of learning new things about snakes and reptiles every day for the longest time. That turns out these guys are a lot more intelligent and cognitive than we thought for decades. And everyone from the leading professionals all the way down to little guys like me or people just keeping one ball python are taking the next steps and furthering their lives just like we do with dogs and stuff that we didn't know 200 years ago that we now know now. And so that's what, again, all I want to talk about, all I want to say is that these guys do make amazing pets. Just because they don't have legs doesn't take away from the fact that they're great animals, that they can be amazing pets and be a great part of anybody's lives. Hope this gave you a little bit of food for thought. I'm sorry I was so ranty and I keep moving this guy around, but hopefully it's a little bit entertaining instead of just watching me, who, let's be honest, is a little monosyllabic, just yakking at the way of the camera at you guys. But, you know, a little food for thought for you guys. That's all I want to say. That's all a lot of this channel is just, you know, something to make people think a little bit, to give you a little bit more varied opinion, a more balanced opinion, not just swinging one way or the other. Snakes are the best if you don't think they're the best or the worst. And that's not something I want to do, that one person's better than another one. You know, we can take steps to better balance, to take the further next step in our keeping, in our community as a whole, especially with times like these that are going on right now, you know, with our country, that, you know, potentially there's a lot of legislation that could end the reptile community as a whole, where potentially it could be to the point where we're not even allowed to have exotic animals at all from any type of reptile, even to like hamsters and guinea pigs and things like that. So coming together is something that I really want to bring across, and I'm going to wrap this video up really quick. I promise, guys. I'm really sorry this one's going to be a little bit longer, but I really want people to kind of come together and say, we need to stop tearing each other apart. Let's take the next step. When people are out there attacking everyone else, it's just like anything else when everybody else attacks one sect or one group or one idea. You know, you don't need to retaliate. You know, you can take it. We need to unite. We need to come together. We need to take the next best step forward and promote this hobby, this community, these animals in the best way possible, so that way we are allowed to continue to have the right to keep them. Sorry again for the ranty videos, you guys. I do end up doing a lot of those things, but I am kind of a ranty person in general if you haven't figured that out quite yet. Hope you guys got something from this video. I don't know if you necessarily enjoyed it, but at least gave you something to think about. Please like and subscribe if you can. I'll do more just specific reptile-centered videos in the future. Hope you guys at least got something from it, and I'll catch you next time.